day children, and welcome to this class after your Diwali holidays. And children, today we'll do the fifth part of the lesson, EVANS tries an O level. So in the previous part we had seen that the examination was over and the paper was being collected from the examiner. How did he get on, do you think, asked Stephen as he walks beside McCleary to the main gate. So it was Stephens who was ordered to fetch McCleary to the prison gate. So while he was walking with him, he just spoke to him. How was the paper, how was everything in the cell? So he said, I cannot think he's distinguished himself. I'm afraid his Scots accent seemed broader than ever, and his long black overcoat, reaching almost his knees, fostered the illusion that he had suddenly grown slimmer. And he did not want to speak out because his accent was different and he didn't want to get caught in that, and he was walking in a sophisticated manner and he did not want to show that he had grown thin. Means he was looking slim. Previously when he came he was looking quite fat, and while going out from here he was looking slim. Stephen felt pleased that the governor had asked him and not Jackson. And Stephen, the policeman, he was very much happy that Jackson, the other policeman, he was not given this duty to do, and it was he who was given the duty, and he was very much happy that the governor thought he was a confident man, he can do everything nicely. So he was given the chance to take McCleary to the prison gate. And all in all, in the morning had gone pretty well and everything had gone okay. But something stopped him from making his way directly to the canteen for the belated cup of tea. He wanted to take just one last look at Evans. It was like a program he had seen on the TV about a woman who could never really convince herself that she had locked the front door when he had gone to bed. Often she would get up 12, 15, sometimes 20 times to check the bolts. And here, while walking towards the gate, he stopped because he wanted to go back to see whether he had closed the gate of the cell properly or not. So his condition was like a woman who before going to sleep was not confident that she had closed the door. Many times she used to get up and check the door, the bolt, whether it is open or it is closed, and sometimes she checked for 20 times. He re-entered the wing, made his way along Ivan's cell, opened and peephole once more. Oh no, Christ, no. There spoke back in Ivan's chair was a man, a grey regulation blanket slipping from his shoulders. And when he went again to the D-wing and he peeped through the peephole, then he saw that somebody was sitting on the chair and the blanket was slipping out of the shoulder, and the front of his closely cropped, irregularly tufted hair awash with fierce red blood, and he could see that the front face was covered with blood, and some blood was dripping off his black beard, and he was now spreading horribly over the white collar of the person, and then it was going in front also, means the blood was dripping from head to the shirts. Stephen shouted wildly for Jackson. Now Stephen, he called out to Jackson, and the words appeared to penetrating the curtains of blood that veiled McCleary's ears, for the minister's hand fell feebly for a handkerchief from his pocket, and then they could see that the blood was there on the face of McCleary. Through the ears it was coming down, and then he searched for the handkerchief in his pocket, and then he kept it on the bleeding head. The blood was seeping slowly, and the white linen was getting red. He gave a long, low moan and tried to speak, and the man who was lying on the chair, he tried to speak few words, but he could not speak. But in the low voice he said that, and he heard that Stephen was calling to the police, and he said that call the ambulance, and the handkerchief was getting sticky with the blood. And McClary, he tried to get up, and he said, don't worry about the ambulance, I am alright, I am alright. You get the police, and I know where he has gone. And he closed his eyes, and the drip of blood, again it flashed on his clothes, and then it fell on the floor. And the man, McClary, he tried to grab the paper that was kept on the table. It was the German question paper, and he held it in his hands. Get the governor. I know where Evans, and he was saying, call the governor, and I know where Evans has gone. Almost immediately sirens were sounding, prison officer barked orders, puzzled prisoners pushed their way along the corridors, doors were banged and bolted, and the phones were ringing everywhere. And within a minute, McClary with Jackson and Stephen supporting him on either side, his face now streaked and caked with drying blood, was greeted in the prison yard by the governor, perplexed and grim. And you have seen this condition in the pictures also, when one of the prisoner, he runs away, then the sirens are blown, and the policemen start running here and there. They're trying to search the person, and all the doors were banged open and then closing. All these kind of hustle and bustle was going on, and this you can understand because in most of the films you have seen this. So the same thing happened over there. And then when they came to the prison yard, the governor came there. We must get you to hospital immediately. And he said, come, let's take you to the hospital. So we have called the police. Yes, they are on their way. So police is coming, don't worry, they are coming. I'm right, he said. Look, awkwardly he opened the German question paper and thrust it before the governor's face. Is there? Do I see what I mean? And then he said, I'm alright, you don't worry. Then he opened the question paper, he gave it to the governor, and he said, do you understand what is written over there? What does this mean? The governor looked down and realized that McClary was trying to tell him. A photocopied sheet had been carefully and cleverly superimposed over the last page of the question paper. And the governor, he found out that it was the photocopied sheet that was put in the question paper at the last. Yeah, see what they have done, governor. Yeah, see. His voice trailed off again as the governor dredged his layers of long neglected learning, willed himself to translate the German text before him. And the governor, he said to the governor, see governor, what is there? And governor was trying to translate the German language. Sie sollen dem Skollen Wurm Plan genau folgen, der which examines. You must follow the plan already something. The vital point in this time is 3 minutes before the end of the examination, but something. Don't hit him too hard, remember he is a minister, and don't overdo the Scots accent when. And then it was written over there, he followed the plan. And then don't hit him hard on his head because he is a minister, and nothing wrong should go. And you should hide your accent. A fast approaching sound wailed in the crescendo. The great doors of the prison yard were pushed back, and a white police car squealed to a jerky halt beside them. And then again the siren was wailing, it was sounding, and the door of the prison was opened wide, and one white police van, it came and it stood beside them. Detective Superintendent Carter swung himself out of the passenger seat and saluted the governor. And then the Superintendent Carter, he got out of the seat and he saluted the governor. What the hell happening, sir? And turning to McClary, Christ, who is hurt him? Then he asked what's going on. Then when he looked at McClary, he said, who hit him? But McClary cut across whatever explained the governor might have given. Elsewhere, officer, I know where Evans. He was breathing heavily and leaned for support against the side of the car where the imprint of his hand was left in tarnished crimson. And then McClary, he did not say anything. Everything was explained by the governor, and McClary was trying to breathe very heavily, and when he got hold of the car, the crimson color of his hand was printed on it. In bewilderment, Carter looked to the governor for guidance. What? Take him with you if you think he'll be all right. He is the only one who seems to know what's happening. So Carter, he was very much bewildered, what's going on over there. And then the governor said to him, take McClary with you because he only knows what's happening. Carter opened the back door and helped McClary inside, and within a few seconds the car leapt away in the spurt of gravel. And then as McClary sat inside the car went off. Elsfield Way, McClary had said, and there it was staring up at the governor from the last few lines of the German text from Elsfield Way, drive to the Headington roundabout where, yes of course, the examinations board was in Elsfield Way and someone from board must have been involved in the escape plan from the very beginning, the question paper itself, the correction slip. And when McClary sat in the car, he said, let's go to the Esfield and from there we'll go to the Headington. So the governor, he understood that it was written over there that from Elsfield Way we'll go to Headington, and then he understood that somebody from the examination board was very much involved in the escaping of Evans from the prison. Now the governor turned to Jackson and Stephen. I don't need to tell you what happened to do. What happened, do I? So he looked at Jackson and Stephens and he said, I shouldn't tell you what all has happened. It is because of you all these things have happened. His voice sounded almost calm in his scathing contempt. But which one of you two morons was it who took Evans for a nice little walk to the main gates and waved him bye-bye? And then he asked, who took Evans to the main gate and then from there you said bye to him? It was me, sir, stammered Stephens. So Stephen, he said, it was me, just like you told me, sir, I could have sworn. And he said, as you told me, I did my duty. What? Just like I told you. So he said, I told you to take Evans out when you rang, sir, and told me. So you rang me and you told me that you can take the examiner out of the prison. When was that? The governor's voice was a whiplash. Now the governor asked him, when did I call you? I didn't call you. You know, sir, about 20 past 11 just before. So he said, when it was 20 past 11, that time you rang me. You blithering idiot, man. It wasn't me who rang you. Don't you realize? But what was the use? He had used the telephone at that time, but only to try to get through the examinations board. So he said, you are an idiot and you know why I would use a phone. It was not I. You were going through the examination board, so all the phone calls were coming from there, so I didn't call you from there. He shook his head in a growing despair and turned on the senior prison officer. As you know, Jackson, how long have you been pretending you have got a brain? Well, I'll tell you something, Jackson, your skull's empty. So he started shouting at both Jackson and Stephens. He said, you are an empty-headed person, you don't have brains, your skull is empty and absolutely empty. You don't have any brains in your heads. It was Jackson who had spent 2 hours in Evan's cell the previous evening, and it was Jackson who had confidently reported that there was nothing hidden away there, nothing at all. And one day before, Jackson was inside the room for 2 hours. And he looked for everything, nothing was hidden in the cell. Yet Evans had somehow managed to conceal not only a false beard, a pair of spectacles, a dog collar, and all the rest of his clerical paraphernalia. So all these things he had, the extra false beard, spectacles, dog collar, and all those things that he could change himself in clerical form, but also some sort of weapon with which he had given McClary such a terrible blow across the head, and then he must be having some weapon with him, with that he had hit hard on the head of the McClary. So rest will do tomorrow, children. That's all for today. Good day and good luck.